All right, so you landed an interview for a Rubber Technologist position. Congrats. Now, how do you knock their socks off? Well, we're diving deep into RoleCatcher's Rubber Technologist, the complete career interview guide. And trust me, this isn't your average interview prep. We've got actual questions, insider insights, and even some AI magic to help you tailor your answers like a pro.
What's really exciting is that this guide doesn't just focus on getting you through the interview. It provides valuable information about building a successful career in this field.
Okay, cool. First things first, what does a Rubber Technologist actually do?
So imagine the difference between a car tire that needs to withstand intense pressure and heat versus a rubber band that needs to be flexible and stretchy. A rubber technologist is the mastermind behind creating these vastly different properties. They formulate the perfect blend of rubber fillers and additives to meet the specific needs of each product.
So it's about understanding the science behind rubber and using that knowledge to solve real-world problems.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what makes this RoleCatcher guide so valuable. It's packed with questions that are tailored specifically to the rubber technologist role, allowing you to showcase your expertise and deep understanding of the field.
And the best part, RoleCatcher has this incredible AI that analyzes your answers and provides feedback. It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket. But more on that later. Let's dive into some of those juicy interview questions, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. First up, describe your experience in rubber compounding and formulation. Seems straightforward, but what are they really looking for here?
They want to see that you understand the science behind rubber compounding, not just that you followed a recipe. This is your chance to showcase your knowledge of rubber chemistry, the different types of rubber, and how additives and fillers impact the final product's properties.
So instead of simply listing past jobs, I should focus on specific projects where I had to say, tweak a formula to overcome a challenge or achieve a unique property.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get a bit technical here. Use those industry terms to demonstrate your deep understanding. For example, you could talk about how you adjusted the carbon black loading to improve the tensile strength of a rubber compound used in tires.
And remember, RoleCatcher actually provides a sample response that you can tailor to your specific experience using their AI feedback.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of follow-up question could they hit me with?
They might ask, can you give an example of a time you had to troubleshoot a compounding problem and how you approached it? This is where you really showcase your problem-solving skills and ability to think critically.
All right, next question. How do you stay up to date with new developments in rubber technology? This seems like a question where I could easily fall into generic answers.
It's crucial to showcase genuine enthusiasm and proactive learning. Mention specific publications you read like Rubber Chemistry and Technology or Journal of Applied Polymer Science. Talk about conferences you've attended, perhaps the International Rubber Conference, or online communities where you engage with other professionals.
RoleCatcher even suggests mentioning a specific advancement that has particularly caught your eye. So, let's say I'm fascinated by the development of self-healing rubber. I could talk about how this innovation could revolutionize tire manufacturing, potentially leading to longer-lasting tires and a reduction in waste.
Now you're talking. Showing that you're not just aware of trends, but excited about their potential impact is key. They might even follow up with, what emerging trend in rubber technology are you most interested in, and why?
No, que this.
So, have an answer ready that highlights your passion and foresight.
Okay, on to a question about quality. How do you ensure the quality of rubber products during the manufacturing process? I know quality control is essential, but how can I make my answer stand out?
Don't just name-drop methodologies like Six Sigma or statistical process control. Explain how you've applied them in real-world scenarios to ensure consistent product quality.
For example, I could talk about a time when I used statistical analysis to identify variations in the hardness of a rubber component. Then, I could explain how I investigated the root cause of the variation and adjusted the process parameters to bring the hardness back within the acceptable range.
Exactly. Now, they might follow up with, describe a time you had to identify and resolve a quality issue during production. What steps did you take? This is where you demonstrate your analytical skills and ability to take decisive action.
Let's move on to teamwork. This question always seems to pop up. How do you collaborate with cross-functional teams to develop new rubber products?
Remember, this is about demonstrating effective communication and understanding how different roles contribute to the final product.
So, instead of just saying I'm a team player, I should talk about specific instances where I had to work with engineers, designers, or even marketing folks to bring a new rubber product to life.
Precisely. Highlight your ability to listen, communicate clearly, and build consensus. Be ready for a follow-up like, give an example of a successful cross-functional collaboration you were involved in. What were the challenges, and how did you overcome them?
This next question is all about problem solving. How do you troubleshoot problems with rubber products during the manufacturing process?
Here, it's crucial to show your systematic approach. Talk about your go-to techniques like root cause analysis, fishbone diagrams, or process mapping.
RoleCatcher suggests talking about specific instances of applying those techniques. So I could discuss a situation where a batch of rubber parts exhibited premature cracking. Then, I could explain how I used a fishbone diagram to identify potential causes, narrowed it down to an issue with the curing temperature, and adjusted the curing process to prevent future cracking.
That's a great example. They might even ask, tell me about a time you had to troubleshoot a complex problem with a rubber product. How did you identify the root cause and implement a solution? Be prepared to walk them through your entire thought process, from analyzing data to implementing corrective actions.
This is all fantastic information, but I'm curious to learn more about the career path itself. Can we take a quick detour through RoleCatcher's career guide? I'm particularly interested in what they have to say about unexpected skills that can be valuable in this field.
Absolutely. We'll definitely take a look at those career insights in just a bit. There are some fascinating nuggets in there that can give you an edge in the interview.
Perfect. Now, let's tackle a few more of those interview questions before we move on.
Let's jump back into those insightful questions from RoleCatcher. But before we do, let's take a quick detour through their career guide. As promised, it's packed with nuggets that can give you a competitive edge. And you mentioned wanting to explore unexpected skills.
Yes, I'm curious what RoleCatcher highlights as valuable, but maybe not obvious skills for a rubber technologist.
One thing that really caught my eye was the emphasis on communication and presentation skills. It makes sense when you think about it. You're often explaining complex technical concepts to colleagues, clients, or even management who might not have a deep understanding of rubber technology.
So it's not enough to just be a whiz in the lab. I need to be able to articulate my findings and recommendations in a way that everyone understands.
Exactly. The guide even suggests practicing your presentation skills, maybe by joining a Toastmasters group, or simply presenting your research findings to colleagues. It also highlights the importance of data analysis and visualization skills, especially with the increasing focus on data-driven decision-making in manufacturing.
That's a great point. I've definitely seen more and more emphasis on using data to optimize processes and improve product quality.
Absolutely. And if you can demonstrate proficiency in these areas during your interview, you'll be a step ahead of the competition. Now, let's get back to those practice questions. Up next, what are some of the key challenges facing the rubber industry today?
This seems like a question where I need to show I'm not just focused on the technical aspects, but also aware of the bigger picture.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about demonstrating your awareness of industry trends and your ability to think critically about the future of the field.
RoleCatcher's insights mention challenges like the rising cost of raw materials, the demand for sustainable and eco-friendly products, and the need for continuous innovation to meet evolving customer needs.
Exactly. But don't just list these challenges. Explain how they might impact your work as a rubber technologist. For example, you could talk about how you might approach developing more sustainable rubber compounds using recycled materials, or exploring alternative sources of natural rubber to address the rising cost of raw materials.
And if they follow up with, how do you see these challenges affecting the role of a rubber technologist in the future?
That's your opportunity to showcase your forward thinking and adaptability. For instance, you could talk about how you're interested in learning more about bio-based rubber, or exploring the potential of 3D printing in rubber manufacturing. Showing a willingness to embrace new technologies and adapt to changing industry landscapes is key.
Okay, here's one that always makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
How do you handle conflict or disagreements within a team?
Don't worry, it's a common question designed to assess your interpersonal skills and your ability to navigate challenging situations. The key is to focus on open communication, active listening, and finding common ground.
RoleCatcher suggests sharing a specific example of a time when you successfully resolved a conflict within a team. I could talk about a time when I had a disagreement with a colleague about the best approach to testing a new rubber formulation. We had different ideas. But we sat down, listened to each other's perspectives, and ultimately came up with a compromise that incorporated elements of both approaches.
That's a great example. It demonstrates your ability to handle conflict constructively and reach a solution that benefits the entire team. Now, let's dive into another technical question. What are some of the key factors to consider when selecting a rubber material for a specific application?
I know factors like durability, flexibility, the
Yeah.
resistance to heat and chemicals all come into play. But what's the best way to structure my answer?
Start by outlining the key properties to consider, just like you mentioned. Then illustrate those properties with specific examples. If you're talking about durability, you could contrast the rubber used in a car tire with the rubber used in a medical glove.
And if they follow up with, describe a time when you had to choose between two different rubber materials for a specific application. What factors did you consider in your decision?
That's your chance to shine. Describe the specific application, the two materials you were considering, and the pros and cons of each. Walk them through your decision-making process, highlighting how you weighed the different factors to arrive at the best solution.
This all ties back to how crucial it is to understand the science behind rubber and how different factors impact its performance.
Absolutely. Now, before we move on, I want to touch on something we mentioned earlier, RoleCatcher's AI feedback tool.
Yes. Tell me more about how that can help me tailor my answers for specific job roles.
Imagine you're applying for a role that emphasizes sustainability. You can use RoleCatcher's AI to analyze your responses and see if you're effectively highlighting your experience with developing eco-friendly rubber compounds or implementing sustainable manufacturing practices.
So, it's not just about what I say, but how I say it, making sure I'm hitting the key points that are important to this specific company and role.
Precisely. It's like having a personalized coach who can help you fine-tune your message and make sure you're putting your best foot forward.
Okay, that's amazing. I'm definitely going to check that out. Now, let's squeeze in a few more questions before we wrap up part 2. Okay, so let's jump right into part 3. This next question focuses on safety, a crucial aspect of any manufacturing environment. Describe your approach to maintaining a safe working environment in a rubber manufacturing facility.
Yeah, that's super important.
Safety is definitely a top priority. But how could I go beyond simply stating that I follow safety protocols? What are they really looking for here?
They want to see that you understand the specific hazards associated with rubber manufacturing and that you're proactive about mitigating risks. Think about personal protective equipment like respirators and gloves, but also delve into procedures like lockout, tagout for machinery, and proper ventilation for chemical handling.
So it's about demonstrating a comprehensive understanding of safety practices and commitment to creating a culture of safety within a team.
Exactly. You could even share an example of a time when you identified a potential safety hazard and took steps to address it, highlighting your vigilance and problem-solving skills, for instance. You might have noticed a frayed electrical cord near a water source and immediately reported it for repair, preventing a potential electrical shock.
That's a really good point. Okay, here's one that tests your ability to think on your feet. What would you do if a batch of rubber compound failed to meet quality standards?
Oh, yeah. This is all about demonstrating your problem-solving skills under pressure. Remember, it's not about panicking. It's about staying calm, methodical, and focused on finding solutions.
RoleCatcher suggests following established procedures, documenting the issue, and collaborating with the team to identify the root cause and implement corrective actions.
Precisely. You could outline the steps you'd take to isolate the faulty batch, conduct further testing, and trace back to potential points of failure in the process.
And what if they ask? How would you communicate this issue to different stakeholders? Your supervisor, the production team, and potentially even clients?
That's where clear and concise communication becomes crucial. You need to tailor your message to each audience while maintaining transparency and professionalism. For your supervisor, you'd provide a detailed technical report. For the production team, you'd focus on actionable steps to prevent recurrence. And for clients, you'd reassure them that the issue is being addressed and quality standards will be upheld.
Got it. Earlier, we talked about unexpected skills highlighted in RoleCatcher's career guide. I'm curious about other insights they offer. Is there anything that stood out to you?
One thing that really resonated with me was the emphasis on continuous learning. The rubber industry is constantly evolving with new materials, technologies, and sustainability practices emerging.
So it's not enough to just rely on what I learned in school.
Exactly. It's about being proactive and staying up to date with industry advancements. The guide recommends attending conferences, reading industry publications, and even pursuing certifications to enhance your skills and knowledge.
That's a great point. It shows potential employers that you're committed to professional growth and passionate about staying ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. Now, let's tackle a few more interview questions before we wrap things up. This one focuses on sustainability. How can a rubber technologist contribute to reducing the environmental impact of rubber manufacturing?
Sustainability is definitely a hot topic these days. How can I showcase my understanding of its importance in the rubber industry?
It's about going beyond simply stating that sustainability is good. Talk about specific ways a rubber technologist can make a difference. You can mention developing eco-friendly rubber compounds using recycled materials or bio-based sources.
Or I could talk about optimizing manufacturing processes to reduce waste and energy consumption.
Exactly. And if they ask about the challenges and opportunities associated with developing sustainable rubber products, you can discuss balancing performance requirements with environmental considerations and the exciting potential of new sustainable technologies.
All right, time for one last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years within the field of rubber technology?
This is your chance to demonstrate your ambition and long-term vision. It's not about having a rigidly defined plan, but showcasing your desire to learn, grow, and contribute to the field. Think about areas you'd like to specialize in, skills you'd like to develop, or even leadership roles you might aspire to. And remember to align your answer with the company's vision and growth areas.
For example, if the company is heavily invested in research and development, I could express my interest in contributing to the development of innovative,
Yeah,
high-performance rubber compounds.
exactly. It's all about showing that you've thought about your future and how you can contribute to the company's success.
Wow, what a journey. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive. We've explored the role of a rubber technologist, dissected challenging interview questions, and even delved into career insights and the power of AI for interview prep, all thanks to RoleCatcher's incredible resources.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been an insightful exploration, and I hope our listeners feel empowered and prepared to tackle their rubber technologist interviews with confidence.
And remember, the link to RoleCatcher is in the show notes. Sign up for a free account and unlock a world of resources designed to help you land your dream job.
And as you embark on your interview journey, remember this. Showcase your passion for the field, your eagerness to learn, and your commitment to making a positive impact on the world of rubber technology.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you next time with another deep dive into a fascinating topic.